Hello and welcome to Tales from the Toy Store, the podcast where we discuss the business and hobby of collectibles. My name is Justin Ashley, and joining me is my co-host, Mark Skews.
Welcome. Good to be back.
I'm excited. This is episode 2.
It is.
We made it to a second episode. We didn't get canceled immediately.
Well, I mean, since this is your podcast, if we're going to get canceled, it would be you telling me not to come back. So thank you very much for inviting me back to do this again. I'm very excited. I think today's episode is going to be a good one. We've been talking about this for a while, as we normally do. And I've got some questions geared up for you, because I think you're going to have a very unique perspective on what today's topic is going to be.
And once again, to reiterate, because we were still trying to figure this out in the first episode, right. The formula of the show is basically, I am a collectibles store owner and a business owner. You are a large collector, and we have two different perspectives. We see both sides of the aisle. Right. I see behind the counter. You see on the other, like in front of the counter, the actual guy buying the things. And you are bringing to me questions and or topics that you want to get my perspective on.
Right.
In the hopes that we have some interesting dialogue.
I get to take the opportunity in these podcasts to live vicariously through you, because you have the hero job that we all want, and your perspective and you know the work that you do gives us the opportunity to sort of take a look behind the curtain, so to speak,
right.
on something that we're all very interested in, but very few of us get to live the way that you do. So
I just want to correct you there. The perceived dream job. Owning a retail store is by no means a dream job. I don't recommend it to anyone. And maybe that will become clearer as this podcast series continues.
I feel like some of the questions I have for you may reveal many points like
over
you just
time.
said. That's
yeah,
right.
Over time. Yeah, the audience is going to come to learn just how not fun my job can be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you, I think, have a theme, you told me?
That's right.
For this episode?
That's right. So for today, I thought what we could do is speak about conventions. Obviously, conventions are a big part of the toy business, big part of any kind of collecting. You know, there's anything you can think of, there's probably a convention or some kind of show establishment for that hobby. You attend and work many conventions, obviously in the Greater Toronto area where we live. There are a number of conventions for anime, for toys, for movies, for any of the kinds of things that we talk about on the show. And, you know, the summer and into the fall is a big season for that. I know that you've had a number of them so far this year, and you have a few more coming up. I thought we could get some experience, get some stories from you about the types of things that you do, what it takes to go into a con like that, the preparation, the fun, the not so fun experiences that you have, as it's still fresh in your mind, because I believe you had a con last weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Literally just came from a con.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we should reiterate to the audience that this is a Canadian podcast. I am a Canadian business owner, and my store is located in Oshawa, which is in Ontario, which is not far outside Toronto. So most people that don't really know Canada, don't really know Ontario, you know where Toronto is. So I'm not far from Toronto. I'm not far from like the main central business hub of the fucking country.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the major, when you say conventions, you're also like, what we're talking about is Comic-Cons. Mm-hmm. You know, like Correct. That word gets used a lot. So shows like Toronto Comic-Con, shows like Fan Expo being the Canadian equivalent of like San Diego Comic-Con. Right. So we're talking about those level shows. And I should say, so people know, like, okay, well, what kind of shows? I don't know if this is one of your questions, but is this one of your questions, what shows do you do?
Not in particular, but it's probably a good way to
It's very
start
pertinent,
off.
though.
Yeah.
It's very pertinent so people can know, like, okay, what level do I actually sell at? So I originally, without getting into a long diatribe like my history, but like originally I started out doing flea markets, and I did smaller, what you would call like swaps, or they just call them shows. So, you know, the Ajax Toy Show or the Quinty Toy Show. Right. And those are much smaller sized events that are what I call one and dones. They're just a single day. It's one day and then it's done. That's it. Now that I've had my store for so long and I've built up enough inventory, I would say 3+ years ago, I moved up to the next rung, which the next run is like Comic-Cons.
Full weekend events.
Weekend events, correct. Yeah. So the weekend events are generally Saturday, Sunday, but the biggest shows I do are 3 days. They're Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. And in case people are wondering, no, I don't do Fan Expo currently. I've been on the waiting list for 3 years.
It's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million vendors trying to get into that show. I mean, it's the biggest game in Canada, so every dealer wants to get into it. Do I think I belong there? Absolutely. I'm at that level without a doubt. I do like the second and third biggest shows underneath Fan Expo, so I'm already doing shows of that caliber. I have a setup that I already have a Comic-Con size setup. I definitely can do it. It's just for the larger shows, often there is a waiting list to get into them. And that might even be a question that comes up. I don't know if you're going to ask, like, what does it take to actually get into these shows? There are waiting lists. But
you essentially have to wait for someone else to vacate a spot because they're very popular. Right?
Well, yeah, that's like, I would say a third of my business is done at conventions.
Right.
Yeah, I would say 2/3 are through the store, like the brick and mortar, and a third now is sales, like for the year. Gross sales is through the cons.
So I think that's a good place for us to start. I think it's important to understand that when Justin is talking about going to conventions and being a part of these shows, he's still operating your retail store at the same time, right? So during these periods, it's a lot of work. You're doing essentially double duty because you're keeping the store running, but then you're also taking time away from the store to prepare for these cons and then to go and do them. And it I know from sort of talking with you, your days and nights become very limited during the run-ups to these shows because it's just all hands on deck as you prepare.
Basically, yeah.
What I think a good place to start is walk us through what you go through to prepare for one of these shows.
Like to actually prepare for a con. Right. So, okay, so I should say that con season is basically 2 times a year.
Right.
So again, we're in Canada, and that's actually very important because Canada is at the mercy of our winter. So there ain't no fucking shows in the winter.
Correct.
Like that
everything shuts down.
Right, everything shuts down. So con season is basically the spring, I would say from about mid-March to beginning of July. There's almost no events in the summer.
Oh, okay.
They basically skip the summer. Summer is when you can do like fairs and festivals, but the Comic-Cons, those type of shows, they're typically not in the summer. The thinking behind that is a lot of people tend to go on vacation. They tend to go away for that time. And it's a time when people's schedule is just kind of all in flux and people are taking trips and shit. So the thought is generally those aren't safe time periods to do a con because there's going to be less people looking to go to those kind of events. So I don't know if that's 100% true. That as a promoter myself, I should say I actually do run my own little show here in Oshawa. It's not a Comic-Con. It's a one and done. It's a small show. But the general thought is you avoid the summer and you avoid the winter for sure because you're just the winter in Canada can be brutal and it doesn't matter how much preparation you do, your whole event can be completely ruined by one snowstorm or 1 week of heavy snow and all the roads are fucked and no one's going to drive out to your event. So here in Canada, we only do shows in the spring and the fall. And when the weather and people's schedules are most how do I say this? They're
a little bit more structured. They're not sitting on the beach. They're not kind of deciding on the day. You're right. I mean, that's a perfect description of it because the winters are so bad.
Right.
When the summer does come around, nobody wants to sit inside.
Bingo.
Right when they have the opportunity. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So the optimum windows for Canada for cons are spring and fall. And spring, again, is like mid-March to beginning of like end of June, basically. And then the fall season is last weekend of August into, I would say, end of October. Yeah. So the dead periods in Canada are July and August, and then the winter being November into mid-March, like beginning of March. Yeah. Those are the months that there's nothing going on.
Nothing happens.
No, nothing happens. So I'm talking about prep. Like you want to know, you're talking like the stock, like how I prep the stock and all that shit. Is that really what you're talking about?
Yeah. How do you know what to do, what to get ready for? I mean, obviously these events, they're not the same.
No,
right?
and that is a huge fucking problem.
Right.
Okay, so I have general events and I've got specific events. Okay, so general events are Comic-Cons. Right. So when you say Comic-Con, so I'll give you some examples. So I just came back from London Comic-Con. London Comic-Con was a 2-day event. It was Saturday, Sunday. I also do Niagara Falls Comic-Con. That is a 3-day event. Those generic Comic-Cons, they're more wide audience, so you kind of got to bring a little bit of everything.
Right.
But then I also do huge events like Anime North. Anime North is it's right in the fucking name, it's an anime-centric focused show.
Right.
So you're not going to be bringing, like, my business is mostly Funko Pops and action figures. Now, I do sell movies, I do sell video games, but there's very few shows I actually bring those to. But at Anime North, I'm not going to be bringing my horror shit.
Right.
Because it's not going to fucking do well there. But I also do, like, so there's also Frightmare in the Falls, which is, I've got that coming up at the end of October. That is a horror show. I'm not going to bring the anime
No anime stuff for that.
No.
Right.
So the biggest time suck when you're prepping for the shows, the biggest, most grueling thing is retooling your con stock. And you have to do it basically every show you're leading up to it. It depends on the size of the show. So Anime North, as an example, I start a month ahead prepping the inventory. Yeah. So the month leading up to Anime North, I am working 4 to 5 days a week just doing prep for stock. That because it's an enormous show. Mm-hmm. And like for that, so normally booths are, so when we're talking Comic-Cons, like large conventions, you go by booths, it's not tables. Booths are generally 10 by 10 spaces. So my typical setup is 2 booths.
2 of those, okay.
So it's 10 feet deep by 20 feet wide. That's my typical setup. Anime North, I do 4 booths.
Wow.
So it is a massive setup for me to do Anime North. So that one, I do about a month of prep. A show like Niagara Falls or London, which I just did, London took me about 2 weeks of prep. But again, it depends on the show. Right. So the nice thing about, okay, so I should start with like my setup. And every dealer is completely different. So like not everybody's using my system. I am a neurotic person with OCD.
I've seen your setup and it's incredible.
Well, thank you for that.
Is it possible to put a picture up?
Sure. Yeah. I can put a picture on the screen.
I think people.
Here it is right here. Yeah.
Through the power of television.
That's what we're looking at right now. Yeah. I could bring it up if I just log into my Instagram. Why don't I just quickly bring up an image just so you can see what you're actually referring to?
So while you're doing that, I'll just sort of talk a little bit through this. Justin has built this racking system, sort of custom made for what he's doing, and if you have the opportunity, you're going to see it here in a moment. It's very professional, but I think, going back on what you said before, you really do need to know the audience that you're going to be selling to when you go to these shows, and they could be different. A Comic-Con, if I'm hearing you correctly, is a bit more sort of generic in nature. You could have horror fans, you could have anime fans, you could have obviously comic fans, toy fans, and you need to be prepared for that. But some of those more focused shows are easier from the perspective of who that audience is going to be, but you also have to be able to bring a deeper selection of product that is going to speak directly to those, right? You can't go to Anime North with just Dragon Ball Funko Pops and expect to do very well. You need to have a bit more of those deep cuts as well to be able to address those customers who want to come in and get the full selection for the interest that they have.
So sorry, I just brought up, and now I got it up here. Yeah, so I got up the actual setup, that like my setup here. So this is what my typical setup looks like. Mm-hmm. And this is through my Instagram page. Maybe I should actually, now that I'm seeing this, I should probably blow this up as a bigger image on the screen. But this is what a typical setup looks like for me at a Comic-Con. And this took years to get to this point. You don't start out with racking and
Right.
like my whole setup is modular and mobile. So every one of the, I use metal shelving racks. Sorry, I just realized there's also people that are just listening. So you can't see what we're actually looking at. So allow me to describe.
If you're listening, go to YouTube.
Right. Yeah. Find the link at the bottom of my Podbean account. Right. So to describe it, it's I use metal racks, which are like, they're typical metal storage racks. They're not, and this is very important, they're not the shitty PVC shelves that everybody uses for storage for their garage and basements and shit. You get that at Home Depot, Canadian Tire.
Right.
This shit is one step up. This is the shit you're going to get at Costco. It is the hard metal racks. They're heavy, and the what I have done to custom them is I have added casters to the bottoms of all of these, so they're all mobile. I don't need to bring this in on a separate rack or a skid or anything. I can literally roll my setup to the space and then shift the shelves around.
Right.
I've also combined several racks together to add additional shelving. So typically you only get 5 shelves on one of these metal racks when you buy them. And what did I put
think you got
into?
9 on there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So I have now turned them into 9 shelves. And the reason I did that was every inch matters when you're paying for only a 10 by 10 space.
Correct.
So you got to utilize you got to cram as much shit into that space as possible. So by customizing the shelves and making them to the correct height of a Funko Pop, because that's mostly what I'm selling at these shows, I am now able to bring that much more product.
Right.
So you're talking about prep. So like ignoring all the shit, like the years it took me to figure this system out and build this thing. What you're really referring to is like, I already have this setup. So what do I actually have to do to this to then get it to the show? Like how do I get to this, which is show ready? So I have this racking system, which stays in the basement of my store at all times. So I basically just have to swap out whatever inventory I'm going to bring for any particular show.
Right.
So I have additional, so the racks, I bring generally about 12 to 15 of these metal racks to a show, but I have about 20 of them. So I have buffer racks, which I can use to empty racks to swap around the inventory. You know what I mean? So as an example, this year in particular was absolutely awful because I had Anime North back-to-back weekends with Niagara Falls Comic-Con. You remember this?
Yes.
And I only
we
had...
didn't see you for a while.
Oh, because I was working every single day, all day, because I literally had to, after Anime North was done, I then had to very quickly empty half those racks and fill them full of product to then bring to Niagara Falls. Because I don't have infinite racks and infinite space to just store this at all time. I'm very lucky in that I have room in my store's basement to store these racks, and I basically just keep the product. Like I have a generic Comic-Con setup, which is basically what this is for London Comic-Con. So this is where I'm going to bring every genre of Funko Pop. I'm not going to just bring all horror, all anime, or it's going to be a mix of all of them. So that's my go-to setup for generic Comic-Cons like Niagara Falls. But what I then have to do is tweak that stock if I'm going to do a specific, a more focused
targeted
event. An Anime North, a Frightmare in the Falls, a horror and anime show. That's when I then have to swap out the inventory that's on these racks. That takes forever. You're talking hours, days. Like it's very time consuming. I should also say, so for Funko Pops, the amount of prep that goes into these shows is a lot. And I really want to like emphasize and go through every layer of this because there's a lot to it.
Right.
Okay, so for Funko Pops, there is protectors that I put on all of them. I bring to a show about 2,200 Funko Pops.
Right.
So if I have to swap out,
Wow.
I know. So if I have to swap out half of that stock, so let's say I have my generic setup. And then now I got to bring all the anime Funko Pops. I might have to swap out, if I saw that's 1,000 new Funko Pops that are now going to go on the racks that I have to put into protectors, and I have to handwrite a Post-it note. So I should say I use Post-it notes. I'm one of the few dealers that uses Post-it notes. Most dealers just use price guns.
Right.
I fucking hate price guns because I think they're cheap looking. I think they're small and it's hard to read. They damage the product. They're a bitch to get off. And I like Post-it notes because they don't damage anything at all. You can easily take them off, and they're so easy to read. Like, and as someone that shops in a lot of collectible stores, I don't have the greatest eyesight. For the love of fuck, make your prices easy to see. Don't make me hunt for the fucking prices, you know?
Yeah, that first point is the one that really gets me, because there's no way to take those stickers off without leaving some kind of gunk or anything like that. And I think it just goes to show the level of care that you're putting into this, that you would put cases on them to begin with, which is not easy. Right? It's not,
it takes forever.
Yeah, it's not cheap. I mean, it's not overly expensive, but at the same time, it's something you didn't have to do, but you still do, right? And it takes effort and time to do that. And then to price them, yeah, the Post-it notes are very appreciated. Do you do that in the store as well?
I do, yeah. And that's a policy I do in the stores. It's not just specific to the cons.
Right.
But the point I'm making is because I don't use the shortcut of the price gun, that's that many more hours I now am sitting there. And literally, when I'm prepping for a con, my hand will feel crippled after like a couple days of handwriting Post-it notes on prices, you know. But to me, it's worth it because I think the end product speaks for itself. Right. I think I have a very nice Comic-Con setup and it works very well. But,
yeah, and just to reiterate this point, that it took some time to get to this point, because
years.
I remember in the old store, you didn't have the metal racks. You didn't have the space in the basement to be able to do the hot swap between, one show to the next. You were learning this the hard way, in like the worst way possible. And what you have now is the result of all of those, I wouldn't say failed experiments, but
years of learning and improving.
Hurdles. Yeah, that's right. So I think knowing how much time it takes you now is a far cry from the effort you've put in to get to the point where it's as efficient as possible.
Well, and one of the things I want to touch on is like, I didn't used to have the inventory I do now.
Right.
When I started out, I had a fraction of what I had now. So what I used to do is, and I also didn't have employees back then. So when I first started doing the cons, I started off with Anime North. Anime North was like my coming out, like big convention.
Right.
Like that was the one, eh? And what I ended up having to do was close the store for a few days and pull all the stock from the shelves. So I was literally just emptying my store shelves and throwing that all on a truck, and then throwing it on shitty PVC storage shelves. And that's how I used to do cons at the beginning. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of problems with that because you're losing out on money because the store is not open. You're pissing off those people, but it's a trade-off because I know for a fact, like some of these shows I can make in one weekend what the store will make in a month. So the trade-off is obviously worth it that way, but you're still losing it on that revenue, and you're going to piss some people off that, maybe they only had that one weekend to come out to your store.
They're not going to Anime North. They're coming to your store today.
Exactly, and I don't just sell anime shit. The other thing that was a nightmare back when I used to do it that old system was I would spend like weeks prepping the stock, and then I would bring all that shit to the show. And then I would have to spend basically the whole week after the show putting the store back to fucking together. And it was a nightmare, and product used to get damaged. That was actually part of the reason I made the decision to put protectors on all the pops. It's to protect them just from the movement of them being in transit.
We as collectors know that anytime you're handling something, it's just upping the chance.
Anytime you move your shit, you're going to get some damage.
And I've seen, these racks, you're loading them into a cube truck, like so there's not that they're banging around, but these things don't show up at these shows and cons, through magic, right? You've got to transport them. And, how many Funkos did you say you brought?
2,200-ish.
Right.
Yeah,
right. How do you move that? It's
a logistics problem.
Right.
Yeah. And every dealer sells, they all sell their own shit. Every dealer's got their own system. I think I have one of the most efficient systems. That being said, other dealers are going to feel differently. And, they use different racking systems. They have different methods. Right. I personally think the least efficient method is to put all your stock into cardboard boxes, build empty shelves at the venue, and then spend 5 hours in the morning putting all your product on said shelves. So you're basically building it all. I'd rather spend weeks fine-tuning all my shelves in my store basement and then just roll it into place, set up, ready to go, and just finesse little things. I think that's a better system. But whatever. I'm just saying other dealers are going to disagree with me. Mm-hmm. They have their own methods. It works for them. This is the system I use. But you wanted to know about prep. One of the other things that I have to prep. So not only am I prepping the stock for the specific shows, I also have to, so let's stick on stock for a second. Back when I didn't have a ton of inventory, I was pulling from the shelves. Now I have so much inventory that I am able to, as the product is coming into the store, I preemptively am separating. Okay, I just landed a big video game collection. This amount is going to the cons, and this amount's going to the store. So I basically preemptively will separate out stock that I want to go to the shows now. Right. So that makes it a lot easier when I'm doing prep, because I've already set aside a chunk of stock that is dedicated to the shows. Now, when I need to beef that up, do I pull some stuff from the shelves? Yes. But it's never enough it doesn't even come close to emptying a section. You would never even notice what I've pulled from the shelves.
Correct.
It's not noticeable. You're just not going to see it.
And that is not traditionally how that's done. There are a number of businesses in the area that attend conventions and things like that. And I know one of the local comic book stores, they take down everything off the shelf.
Yeah, just gank it all.
Yeah. So you can go to the store, but their store is moved.
And all their best shit is not there that day. Yeah, my store is not like that. I separate out the stock, and I think that's a better system, because then if you come into my store, you're still getting a great shopping experience. And I make a large effort to not have the balance shift from one stock versus the other. So I never let the store have all the good shit and the con have, the filler shit, or vice versa. I do my best to try to balance out the two. And the other important thing is, because I think this is something that a lot of dealers don't consider, is, a lot of the collectors that are going to be shopping at your stores, they're also going to be going to the cons. So if you don't want them to ignore you at the con, give them a fucking reason to shop at your booth. Show them some shit they haven't already seen 10 times in your store. So I think it's important to separate inventory and have this as a special promotional thing. You're only going to see this stuff if you come to my booth at London Comic Con. Right. You're not going to be able to get this in the store. And I know it bothers some of my customers that I have the two separated, because sometimes people ask me for something and I go, I'm sorry, I know it's in my convention stock, but I don't have it on the floor. But I think it's important to separate the two. And I don't like just pilfering all from one or the other. You got to have fresh things. There's going to be a lot of overlap, but I'm talking about the top end, the rare stuff. If you come to my booth, a lot of my top end rare Funko Pops, it's not the stuff I got in the store.
Correct. You didn't see it the day before,
right,
on the shelf in the store.
And it's the same with video games. Same thing with video games. A lot of my rare stuff I save for the video game shows, so that I'm bringing something unique to the table.
So I think that's a good segue into the next question that I had for you. I think we got a good sort of sense of what it takes to get in the door, get set up for this thing. I'm going to pivot a little bit and sort of flip it around to the attendee experience, right? You talked a little bit about how you try to separate the store experience from your booth experience. In general, for someone like myself, who admittedly I've never been to a convention or a show, and I'm blown away that I haven't. Yep.
How the fuck is that even possible?
I know. So this is, again, me living through you and your experiences.
I didn't know that about you.
Wow. I need to go eventually and dress up and,
You weren't at the initial Comic-Cons in the 70s?
Justin is older, or is younger than me. Maybe not quite as young as he would make it out to be, but yes. So I'm an attendee. I'm attending a show or a con for the first time. What is this like? What is this experience? What can I expect?
Okay.
Should I do this?
Well, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Really, okay. So I think it's important, and I don't know if this is one of your questions, but I kind of was hoping it was going to be, is what are the different levels of a con? Because there are different levels. So at its lowest level are like the one and dones. And the one, I mean, I guess you could go even lower than that and say like, you know, the garage sales, but that doesn't really count. Let's talk about like the lowest you're going to go for collector events.
For an organized event where multiple vendors or dealers might be attending.
Exactly. Dealers in quotation marks.
Right.
Because just because you're selling at an event does not, you might be a dealer for a day, but that doesn't mean you have a business. You just might be a collector trying to sell off some of your excess shit. Mm-hmm. And this is a very important distinction of who you're going to find at what level of event.
Correct.
So at the lowest level, the one and done shows, like my video game show, those are smaller venues. They're generally about, I'm going to say like, I don't know, 4,000 to 8,000 square feet. They're not huge. Those events, they don't do booths, they do tables. And generally table count would be anywhere from like low end 40 tables, high end 200 tables. 200 tables is a larger, that's like an arena, you know.
Correct.
But again, it's still smaller than what a Comic-Con would be. Those shows typically, again, that many tables, typically you're going to draw between let's go lower. Typically you're going to draw between 250 to 1,000 people.
They're regional events.
They're regional, right. Yeah. The venues vary. Sometimes they're in arenas. Sometimes they're at your local Legion, the local Legion branch.
Any kind of hall that could be rented.
The Ukrainian hall down the street, like a church hall. You know, I've seen some in like church basements and shit. Like, but they're in smaller type venues because those type of events, they don't draw enough to be able to pay larger rental fees that the larger banquet halls would charge. You know, very rarely do you see these events in even the hotel, like banquet hotel, like the banquet rooms in hotels and like banquet halls, like those type places, you know, like the places that rent to weddings and shit. Sometimes the events will get into that. And those are more like mid-tier events.
Okay.
So there's a few mid-tier events. There's not a lot of them. I'm going to count like an arena size is closer to a mid-tier, but it depends on the draw. So it depends on like how many people they're actually bringing in. If you ain't cracking 1,000 people, you're not really a mid-tier event. Mid-tier is more like a couple thousand.
How many days would a mid-tier?
Still just a one.
Just the one.
Yeah,
okay.
Just a one and done. Unless you're talking like, so a mid-tier event, I'm going to count like fairs and festivals as mid-tier.
Okay.
So while they might have a large draw, 90% of those people are not there to fucking see you. They're not collectors. They're just mom and dad were bored that weekend and needed something to do with the kids, you know? So like that's a general audience show. General audience shows are more mid-tier because they're larger venues, they're more advertised. Typically the city's involved and the attendance is usually pretty damn big, but it's not a focused event. So it's not a collector crowd. And I've done a few of these shows. I fucking hate these shows because they're generally just nothing but tire kickers all day. And you end up getting turned into more of an exhibit rather than a vendor. So it's like people are there to look at your stuff, but they're not there to shop.
They didn't know that you were even going to be there.
No, right. Yeah, right. And those type of events are generally they're going to do more booths. And they're going to have a wide variety of different booths and they're going to have food vendors and things. Smaller shows typically, of course, I get interrupted as my phone rings here. I guess we'll pause this and I'll get back into it in a second. If you're just joining us, we were interrupted by my phone ringing. Although I don't know why someone would skip to 30 or 40 minutes into the fucking video. But what were we talking about?
So you were talking about the different levels of show,
Right,
as it
okay.
relates to the experience.
Because you wanted to know like what can you expect at one of these shows? Okay,
So just to clarify, I was
Yeah.
thinking after I have been to some of your small sort of one-day shows,
Right.
So that's the limit of my experience. But I feel like we're building up to something, and you're gonna sort of hit me with.
Because that's nothing.
Right.
Yeah, that's nothing. Okay, so typically they're called shows, and a show is a one and done. It's going to be a single day, and sometimes they use the word swap. You'll sometimes hear that term be used. Personally, I hate that fucking word because when you say, personally, I hate that fucking word because when you use the word swap, what happens is people come to the event thinking, I can trade my stuff for your stuff. But it's like, no, I'm a business and I need to actually sell this shit. You are a hobbyist that you have an actual 9-to-5 job that your income doesn't rely on you having to sell whatever you've got, right?
I'll swap it for money.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The one and dones, again, they don't have a large draw. They're usually not even full day events. They're typically so the small tier shows are more like, I don't know, like 6 to 8 hours, 8 hours at most. Most of them might even be only 4 hours. Like I've done shows that are only like 12 to 4.
Right.
And they're only going to draw, it's like 250 to 1,000 people. 1,000 is honestly, like that's higher. Most of them are like 250 to maybe 600 people through the door. So, and you're only going to be talking the dealer count, or I guess we'll go with table count, but like the table count is typically like 40 maybe to 100 tables, something like that. 200 would be like, that's a lot. So that gives you an idea of how many booths, they're not booths, but they're tables, but it gives you an idea how much shit you're going to see at the show, right? And in terms of variety, the smaller tier shows, typically the buy-in is so low, like my show, that the mix of professional vendors to amateur vendors is gonna be more even. Like there actually might be more amateurs at those shows than professional vendors.
Right.
Now that I'm saying it, there definitely are, and the reason for that is it takes a lot for one of us. Like once you get to a retail store level and you have employees, it takes a lot for us to do a show. So a lot of bigger stores are not going to waste their time doing a one and done. It's not worth the effort to make the amount of money they're going to make when they could use that same effort instead of doing 10 one and dones, which is what I used to do. I used to do every one and done that there was. Now, instead of doing 10 of those, I'll just do one Comic-Con and make even more money than I was going to make at those 10. Right. So typically bigger dealers don't do smaller shows. So it's more independent dealers that this is a side hustle, or they're just collectors selling off some of their excess shit. And because of that, it's not to say like you're not going to get the best stock, but you're not going to see near as much quality stuff you're going to find at a Comic-Con, because Comic-Cons are when all the big dealers bring out all the big guns. So they're going to bring out, so the variety is always going to be better at Comic-Con. Things you won't see at one and done shows, you're not going to see panels. You're not going to see guests. Typically the amenities aren't the best at some of these venues. A lot of these venues and shows don't even have like hot food available. There may not even be an ATM available.
Right.
Then when you go to the more mid-tier shows, the venues get better. Generally you have better amenities, but you're still not near the size of a Comic-Con. So Comic-Cons, and we gotta be careful when we use the word Comic-Con, because Comic-Con is a overly used term. Would you agree with this?
It's become almost like the generic term for the wider,
thing. Yeah, the thing. But really, what is the thing? The thing is, it's a pop culture market.
Right.
If you boil this down, it is a market. It is a place to go buy pop culture merchandise. We're not there to show you stuff. We're not there to give you a history lesson on video games or anime or horror. We are there to sell you stuff. And sorry.
I was just going to say, so there may be an experience, but it's not an exhibit.
Yeah, and it's not, and I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to that. So the smaller shows are strictly just markets.
Right.
It is just a simple market. A bunch of people set up tables and they hawk their shit. That's a one and done. Mid-tier shows, there's often, if they're fairs, or they're usually just larger versions of the small tier ones. But if they're fairs and expos and shit like that, typically there's more shit to do than just the market. There's going to be other things,
right?
But they're not focused on what you're selling. So like if it's a fair, sure, there's a magician show and other stuff, but it has nothing to do. It's not pop culture centric. When you use the word Comic-Con, what you're referring to is a large scale event where a pop culture market is taking place. A large scale pop culture market. Some of them are focused, like anime or horror, but those ones typically have different names. So Frightmare in the Falls is a horror show that takes place in Niagara Falls.
Right.
But that same company also does Niagara Falls Comic-Con. Now, a big thing, and there's actually some contention among collectors about this, Comic-Cons originally were associated with comic events.
Correct.
Comic collectors like yourself, you guys were basically the ones that started these events. But as pop culture grew and other collecting categories became more accepted in the collectibles community, specifically toys and then later video games, the Comic-Con term broadened. And those events, which were always like the geek events, and that you did have like Trek Con and Star Wars Con and shit like that. But when you use just the Comic-Con banner, you're not talking about comic markets anymore. There are guys selling comics at these shows, but you're talking everything pop culture.
Right. Whereas it used to be comics.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't even think those shows exist anymore. I don't think
not the
there's
way that they used to.
No. I mean, I there might be a few comic expos like in Toronto, but they are a fraction of what you're going to see at any generic Comic-Con.
Right.
And so let's go to the top tier.
Right.
Because that's really what you want to know. Because that's the shows. I'm shocked that you haven't been at these. But okay, so when you go to the top tier, this is when so it's a large scale event. They're multi-day events. They draw typically, I would say, 8 to let's say like, I don't know, I'll go 10 to 100,000 people.
Oh, wow.
In a weekend.
Jeez.
Well, it depends. Like the biggest, so the bigger shows I do draw about 25 to maybe 40,000 people through the door. I think Anime North does like 40, 50,000 people through the door, something like that. So you're talking an insane amount of people in a relatively short amount of time for that amount of people, right? You're talking a stadium event-sized crowd walking around you at all times. So these are crowded events. Comic-Cons, if you are a claustrophobic type, don't go to Comic-Cons. Like, honestly, there's no, like, or if you are going to go on the slowest possible day at the slowest possible time, which I can tell you those shortcuts if you want. But these are large crowds, large markets, large dealers. These are the big dealers, the biggest dealers in the industry. You're going to find these guys at these cons. Why do we do these cons? Because it rakes in the most money.
Right.
That's why we do these events.
Max customer focus.
Bingo.
Yeah.
It's you're optimizing your stock. You have the highest odd. Like if I have a $6,000 Funko Pop, the odds of me selling it are going to be significantly higher if I take it to a specialized collector show where the top collectors are going to be.
Right.
You have the highest odds of selling your highest end merchandise, right? Sorry to interrupt because you wanted to know about like other things that are there. You also have guests. When you go to the top tier, that's when you start having guests. So that's when they bring in celebrity guests and they have their own separate area and they charge for signatures. And they can range from, I've seen music guests, I've seen television actors, movie actors, but it's all pop culture related.
Right.
Then you also get panels. So you talked about like, there's things other than the market. So the celebrities, the guests, that's one aspect. The other aspect is panels.
There are actual experiences and things you can do.
Q&A sessions.
Right.
You can sit in on panels and discuss with other collectors pop culture topics, and you can also do Q&As with the guests that are coming to these events. And that pretty much covers everything that differentiates the larger scale. I'll also say the larger scale events are held at the largest venues.
So you're talking like hotel...
bigger. You're talking convention centers.
Convention centers.
You're talking arenas that are like the main arena of that city. You know, you're mainly talking the convention centers is where you go to that level.
Something that can host 50,000 people.
Right. Venues that are 20,000 plus square feet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are massive venues. So you're talking a massive market. So if you wanted to know what it was like going to these events, it can be claustrophobic at time. You're in huge crowds, but it's the equivalent of shopping in like if you go to one geek store, it's like shopping in 100 of those in one day.
Wow.
So it's very much so worth your time and money. And you get the bonus of the celebrities and the guests. And that's part of what, like, I've been going to these shows for years, even long before I had a store. I was going to Fan Expo and Niagara Falls Comic Con and Frightmare and this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the big reason I started doing it was the guests. Because, you know, when else are you going to be able to get at Robert Englund or whatever, you know, Katie Sackhoff or just you name it, right? Like they're suddenly, you have a chance to actually meet those people in person and shake their hands.
Right.
You know?
And so it's almost like you can read my mind, because the next thing I was going to ask is obviously you get the chance to meet with some incredible people, people in the industry.
Right.
This is not new for you anymore, so I don't imagine you get as sort of starstruck as maybe those coming in off the street. But surely there have got to have been some experiences that you've had as a part of these cons, meeting, because you were obviously an attendee yourself before you started to go as a retailer.
Yep.
Do you have any cool stories for the fans at home about particular interactions?
Weird interactions and shit? Okay, well, like one time I was at, so this is before I was selling at this show, but it was the first year they did, the first or second year they did Frightmare in the Falls, which is the big horror con. And the show was just starting. So they were trying to build something, but the attendance they had was a fraction of what it would later become. That show now I think draws about 10,000 plus people, but the weekend I went, I think they maybe drew like 2,500 people. Oof, so there was long periods of just nobody really walking around, and the celebrities were just, the guests were just bored at their booths. And let me tell you, folks, those are the best shows because the celebrities are bored and they are willing to talk to you and they will walk around and engage with you. The shows where it's jammed, you get the amount of time you get with a celebrity, like the ratio of time you get with them versus how big the crowd is there's a direct
correlation.
There's a direct correlation.
Right.
Larger crowd, less time with the celebrity. Smaller crowd, more time with the celebrity. You know, smaller lineup for that. Like so for that particular show, most of the celebs had nobody in their queue, in their line to get a signature for like, you know, maybe an hour or 2 hours. They're just sitting there. They're fucking bored. They're people too, right? So they got up and just started walking around, and they were doing and this was a horror show. So they were doing. I guess it was the developers of the game or whatever, but there was a demo for the Friday the 13th video game. And they had like several TVs set up and people were playing it. I was just sitting there kind of watching it. And this guy walks up beside me and he was just like, yeah, they came out really good. They got the motion of Jason down really, really well. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, it looks pretty good. It looks like classic Jason, you know, whatever. And then he was just like, yeah, I did they actually got my movement for that. And I'm like, my movement? I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I turn and it's fucking Kane Hodder, who is like one of the more recognizable Jasons. He's the actor who played him he's the actor that played Jason the most in any of the films. I think he's the only actor to play him more than once,
from
actually.
Like 7 onward.
7 to 10. Yeah. 7 to 10, yeah. And funny enough, he just walked up beside me and just seen I was looking at the game and started chatting with him. And then funny enough, so where that setup was, they had the a demo setup, like demo booth. It was aimed directly at the wall of guests. So I think it just kept drawing, like they were bored. So they kept getting up and then walking over to that booth, because then later that day I'm sitting there and I'm watching gameplay and a guy walks up beside me. And this time I looked at the guy and I was just some guy, and he was just like, oh, it's a pretty cool game, man. And I started chatting with him and this and that. And then and then he's like, oh yeah, you know, something like that. You know, we chit chatted, a little small talk for a bit. And then he's like, oh, well, anyway, see ya. And he walks back over to his booth. And then I realized who it was. It was fucking, I think his name is, I'm going to fuck his name. I think it's Vincent Cassell. It was Andy, the child from Child's Play.
Oh, okay.
But he is no longer a kid.
Right,
he's a grown
obviously.
man. And I didn't recognize what he looked like as a grown man. So I was sitting there making small chat with the kid from Child's Play. And I got to say, he was an absolute sweetheart, because after I realized who it was, he walked back to his booth, and then I walked over to his booth and then literally said to him, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I didn't recognize you. And he was like, oh man, it's no problem at all. And then I proceeded to then chat with him for like half an hour. And it was awesome fan experience. He was such a sweetheart, so nice to talk to. It was just great. And Kane Hodder was nice originally when I approached him. However,
I sense there's a story.
However, most people, so when Kane Hodder approached me, he was very polite. And I'll say this, Kane Hodder is a polite guest. 99% of the people you ask who meet Kane Hodder are going to say he's a great guest. He was very polite, talk to them. And that is how he is.
Right.
However, I found when I actually went up to his booth, because I did get his signature, and I should say, for people that don't know, you should know at this point, signatures cost money.
Right.
So generally, it is frowned upon for you just to walk up to a celebrity's booth and start talking to them. When you walk up, it is expected, the expectation is you are going to spend money on their signature, and that now also, with that purchase, buys you some of their time to talk with them.
Correct.
That's the expectation.
Right. The interaction is the signature.
That's exactly it. And so at a smaller show, you can stretch that interaction out sometimes to like 10, 15 minutes. You never want to be the obnoxious asshole that just keeps trying to keep it going.
Right.
But at a bigger show, sometimes that interaction's 30 seconds. It's like, oh, hey, yeah, big fan. Yeah, handshake and done.
There's 200 people behind you
Bingo.
waiting for the same thing.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And that's why Fan Expo actually has the worst fan experience, ironically. But at this particular show, there ain't nobody around. So like, I walked up to Kane Hodder. There was nobody behind me. I just started fucking chatting with Kane Hodder, and it was great. And I asked him about like, how come he wasn't in Freddy vs. Jason, which I realized afterwards is that was kind of a hot button topic for him. I never really realized that. I also didn't know about Kane Hodder's burns, and I think I kind of stumbled into that conversation, maybe not, as nicely as I should have. This is coming across like I pissed off Kane Hodder, but anyways, I found Kane Hodder a little standoffish personally. But he wasn't as bad as another one of the fucking Jasons that I met. This is going to just turn into tales from Justin going to Comic-Cons, but I'll give you one more. Okay. So Ted White, who I don't think is with us anymore. No,
I don't believe so.
So I saw him before. You shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but I'm about to. So Ted White played Jason Voorhees in part 4, Friday the 13th. I have a box set, and maybe we'll put it up on the screen.
I was gonna say, we should show this. It's impressive.
I'll take a photo of it and I'll put it up on the screen. So I have a Friday the 13th box set that is all the Friday the 13th movies, and I have slowly, as I've been going to the horror conventions and regular conventions, getting all of the Jasons, to all the different actors that played Jason, to sign said box set. At this point, it's complete, in my opinion, minus like one signature. I can't get, there's a couple that I can't get now. So, because people die.
Right.
So, part 3, Richard Brooker, he was dead long before I started this. But now 2 of the signatures on this box set, I can't get anymore. Steve Dash, Part 2, he died. I met him in Hamilton Comic-Con fucking years ago. And now Ted White is dead, according to you.
We should look that up.
I think he did die.
Yeah.
I think he did die. I'm just going to quickly look this up.
So yes, just for those.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah. Okay, Ted White died. Well, I'm going to speak.
Not that long ago though. Like it's less than a year.
Oh yeah, October 14th, 2022.
So,
yeah, it's not. Yeah, we can be forgiven. But
right.
I'm going to speak ill of him for a second. He was a asshole. And sometimes this is a big important thing about going to these cons is they're human too, you know.
Right.
And it's stressful. You got to imagine it's stressful as a vendor. I can only imagine how stressful these fucking guys are trapped behind a table, feigning interest in 2,000 jackasses that are going to quote the same lines to them over and over again and ask them the same questions over and over again. And they got to act, you know.
Like it's the first time they've ever heard it.
Bingo.
Because your experience is for you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand that it is a lot of work for these guys to do these shows. That being said, they're making good fucking money to do these shows. So you're there to do a job. You should do the job. And some of them understand that and some of them don't. Some of them get that, hey, it takes so little. The way to put it is like, you know, I met Kane Hodder, right? For Kane Hodder, that interaction was nothing. He's had tens of thousands of those interactions. For me, I'm going to remember that forever. So it takes so little to give somebody a story they're going to hold with them forever and cherish, or give them a terrible experience they're also going to remember forever. And it's the old adage of never meet your heroes.
Right.
And sometimes you just get these guys on the wrong time. They're in a bad mood. They're having a bad day. Who knows? Maybe they're not feeling well that weekend. But sometimes you get you meet the guests, and they're fucking awful to deal with. And sometimes you get lucky and they're in high spirits and they're great to deal with. Fan interactions varies. Because I've personally met, I've met lots of celebrities now at this point. And when I say that, it makes it sound like, oh, I meet celebrities all the time. No, I paid to meet.
You're going there to do this.
Bingo.
Right.
Yeah. Don't confuse it as they just, you know, I'm walking around wheeling and dealing with these guys. No, I'm fucking paying to go events to meet these people. Right. But I've been, you know, years, like 10 plus years of going to cons. I've met a lot of celebs over the years now. And some of the interactions have been great. Some of them have been fucking dog shit. And Ted White was one of the worst interactions. So I always wait strategically for these guys to have nobody in line because I want a little bang for my buck. I want to chat with them a little bit. Don't give me fucking 30 seconds of your time. Give me, I'm not obnoxious. I never overstay my welcome at the table. I read people for a living. So if I read the guy's body language that he's like, okay, I'm kind of done with this interaction, I fuck off.
That's it.
I don't push it. And a lot of collectors and pop culture enthusiasts, they have no social skills. So they will push it. You know, they'll sit there and start telling them about their YouTube channel and shit like that and try to, you know what I mean? Like they push to the fan interaction to an unreasonable level.
Right.
But I am very cognizant of that, so I never do that. But waited, he had nobody in line. I walk up. I've got, at this point, I already had several Jason signatures on the box set. Now, part 4 is one of my favorite in the series. It's not my favorite. 6 is my favorite, but part 4 is one of my favorites.
Oh, I sense that's an episode right there because that's a hotly contested debate.
Yeah,
yes.
Ranking them.
Yeah.
But part 4 is one of my favorite. And on the box set, there wasn't really room for them all to sign just on the front. I thought it would be a bit of a hot mess. So I kind of had to prioritize the signatures. And I had some thought process on who was going to sign where. So I left room on the front for Ted White to sign. There was a good amount of room. Like, there was like that amount of space for his signature. And when the Jason signed, they always just sign it and then put Jason and then the number of the movie they were in.
Which one they were in, yes.
Right. So he would basically just put Ted White, Jason 4, or Jason Part 4, Final Chapter, right? That's all I wanted. Simple signature. So I show him the box set. I tell him how I've been working on it. And I go, yeah, I'm a big fan of part 4. That interpretation of Jason's one of my favorite. And I wanted to leave room on the front for you to get to sign on the front of the box set. Immediately, he just cuts me off and he goes, I am so sick of you guys leaving. You want me to sign in just such specific spots, and you leave these little spaces for me to sign, and you make it so hard for me to do my job and give you a signature here. And he just starts going on this fucking diatribe of how he basically resents fans who want him to sign specific things in specific places. Which to me is like, is that really so unreasonable to be like, I've left your room, can you please sign here? Like,
right.
I'm sorry, I'm paying for the fucking signature. Shouldn't I get to choose where it is? I didn't say, can you write me a whole fucking love letter or a big, can you say a line? Because sometimes I will ask them to put a line from the movie, or I'll ask for something. This is the bare minimum I'm fucking asking. All I said was, can you sign it a very specific sign in the box set? And he starts going this fucking tirade, and I'm like just completely taken aback. And so I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, okay, if that's a problem, don't worry about it. You can sign anywhere you like on the box set, and I don't mind. And because the other thing is, I requested, he got pissy about this too. I requested he use a silver marker.
Right.
Okay, they have a bunch of markers in front of them. The venue gives them a bunch of different colored markers. And here's a tip for you folks. If you have a very specific marker color that you want for your signature, and plan this, for the love of fuck, plan this, because it's so easy to get a shitty signature, because I've gotten lots of them over the years. Know what you want them to sign, where you want them to sign it, and if you have a color in mind other than black, bring the fucking marker. So now I bring paint markers. Like, I bring the top of the line fucking paint markers, and I make them use my fucking marker. But I knew he would have, by this point I already learned that. So I wanted him to sign in silver. And he gave me a hard time about that, where he was just like, I don't know why it has to be a very specific color, but whatever. And the whole fucking time, he's just riding my ass about this fucking signature. And I just wanted to be like, man, like, fuck. Like, thanks for going out of your way to make me feel bad about wanting your fucking signature, right?
Right. And, carving out a space on the front of the box for you. Because, I value your signature.
No, but he saw that as I'm telling him how to do his job and making it very difficult for. Anyways, as I have his signature, it'll be up on the screen.
We'll show the box.
We'll put it up on the screen right now. It's not a great signature. Yeah.
No, but ironically, I have heard elements of this story before. Of all the signatures you have, I mean, I think that's the story that tops them all. So even though it may have started off as a negative experience, it's the one that stands out, right?
Well, I have one worse signature.
Yeah.
I have one, he's not the worst signature.
No? Okay.
I have one worse. But I don't know how much questions you have left, so I don't really want to, because maybe we save this. If you want celebrity interaction stories, I have tons of them. Right. I've given you a couple, but I've got a lot more. And the worst signature, that's the whole fucking story. Yeah, that was awful. That was I guess I'll quickly tell it. No, there's not time. It takes too long. But the worst signature, and it was the worst fan interaction I think I've ever had to date. This person is the reason I now bring my own marker.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because he literally just ruined the signature. Let's put it this way. I don't display this signature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have it. I own it. But it's only as a reminder.
It's a cautionary tale.
That's why I have it. Right. Yeah, that's why I have it.
So maybe we'll end this topic on a high note. What was the best experience? Was it the Kane Hodder experience?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
I remember I said Kane Hodder was a bit standoffish.
Right.
So Kane Hodder was nice enough, but that particular interaction, I found he was he was a little too aggressive when I was talking to him. He just wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't super friendly. Right. That was the way I would describe it. He just wasn't. He wasn't very warm towards me. And maybe it's because I, brought up a few topics that
You didn't lead in very well there, Justin.
Perhaps, but I mean, I am a very friendly social guy, and I'm good at reading people. So like, as soon as I realized like, oh, this is a hot, like I adjusted appropriately, but I just felt like he wasn't giving me much to work with. He didn't really seem to want to interact with me. Without a doubt, I'm only going to give you one because I don't want to go into too many stories here, but without a doubt, my number one fan experience was meeting Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman.
I would imagine there would be a number of listeners and viewers right now that would probably agree with that. I have heard this, and yeah, do tell.
Kevin Conroy, without a doubt, unfortunately, he's now passed. Kevin Conroy, without a doubt, was the best fan interaction I ever had. I met him twice. I got his signature twice. He was an absolute sweetheart. He couldn't have been more kind. He actually talked and interacted with me and gave me a phenomenal signature. Both times I got his signature. I actually have 3 of his signatures. And he went out of his way to interact with me, to listen to me. It was actually a back and forth dialogue. And not only did he do that, he also asked, he wanted to make sure I got the signature I wanted. Right. So he genuinely was like, okay, so what are you thinking? What would you like me to sign? And where are you thinking, you want me to sign it here? And, oh, okay, what color do you want? Okay, I think I can keep it in it. Like, he legitimately was like, he was invested in making sure I actually got it. Like, I got my money's worth, and he was like, and I wasn't rude about, this was at the very beginning when he was one of the first ones I actually met and interacted with. And I was a little intimidated to just meet him at first. So I mean,
it's Batman,
right?
Of course.
And to me, he's my favorite Batman.
Right.
It's Kevin Conroy. Like, to me, that's Batman. Like, when you say Batman, I think Kevin Conroy. For those that don't know who Kevin Conroy is, please stop listening right now. Tune into another podcast, maybe something about traveling or baking. But I don't want you listening to this podcast. You are not the people that should be listening to this podcast.
He's only half kidding, folks. Continue listening, but
Kevin Conroy
do some homework.
Yeah, do some fucking homework. So Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman.
Correct.
In almost all major forms of Batman. He was the voice for the longest period during the cartoon era, the 90s cartoon, the Batman animated series, Justice League. He did multiple films. He did the multiple video games, including the critically acclaimed Arkham Asylum series, that whole trilogy. He is the voice of Batman.
Correct.
Other actors are maybe the presence and the actor, like the body of Batman, but the voice will always be Kevin Conroy. Right. To me, he's the definitive voice of Batman. So he was great to talk to, and he gave me a phenomenal signature, and I met him twice. The first time I met him, I had him sign my DVD complete series of Batman the Animated Series and my Batman Beyond complete series. And then at the time, there was no Blu-ray for Batman the Animated Series. And I said to him, I said this when I first met him. I go, if they release a Blu-ray, I'm gonna meet you again and I'm gonna have you sign that. And like 4 or 5 years later, they released that Blu-ray, and so the first time I met him at Fan Expo, and the second time I met him at Niagara Falls Comic Con, and I brought up the Blu-ray, and I had a picture on my phone of my previous DVD sets he had already signed, and I showed him, and I go, I made a promise that if they released a Blu-ray, I'd get you to sign the Blu-ray set, and he was very appreciative, and I got to chat with him a little bit more, and it was just great. It was a great fan experience, yeah. So that was fantastic, and I'm going to gush about Kevin Conroy here for a second. No one knew, like, 'cause this didn't come out till years later. He was going through, I believe it was stomach cancer.
Right.
He was fighting stomach cancer the last like 5-6 years. Those were the years he was doing conventions, and he had all the reason and justification in the world to stop doing these events, and he continued doing these events just for the fans like myself. And he said that. And literally, his wife even confirmed this after he died, that he was still doing those events because he loved his fans so much. He wanted to keep those interactions going as long as he was capable of doing it.
Could do it.
And that to me is just incredible. So beautiful human being.
Yep.
Yeah. Before I get teared up, what's your next question here?
So, pivoting back to the business side of things, traditionally conventions, shows are an opportunity for dealers like yourself to, meet with and sell to customers. Your business is obviously heavily reliant on customers bringing things to you. As someone who has not attended large conventions like this, is there an expectation that is not on the table for these events? More as a knowledge piece, like, should I not be bringing something in myself that I am looking to, swap with you or trade to you? Is that off the table for these types of events?
Yeah, nobody does that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you would be laughed at. And I've had people do it. So like, it's funny enough, I just did London Comic Con, and this guy comes up, and he's what I call a high roller dealer, a high roller collector. So these are collectors that think they're high rollers. They think they're God's gift to whatever collectible that they collect.
Right.
So it could be Pokemon cards, could be hockey cards, could be, in this case, Funko Pops. And these guys are all the fucking same. And they want to brag about how they have this and they have that. And I find these guys, ironically, never want to fucking spend any money. They always, the high roller guys, they're only interested in your top end shit, and they always want to trade you for it because they want to acquire everything for nothing. They never want to dish out a pocket.
Right.
I fucking hate these guys. I can't stand these fucking guys. And so this high roller comes up, and he goes, he's got 2 bags with him, and it's not shit that he bought at the show. It's shit that he brought to the show. So immediately I'm thinking douchebag. So he goes, he's like, oh, hey, man, I got some high-end Funko Pops here I think you're going to want to take a look at. So I very politely, I go, oh, sorry, man, I don't buy at the show and I don't trade at the show. I just sell. And he goes, this is some good stuff. You're like, this isn't common shit.
You're going to want to make an exception for me because I'm special.
Exactly. Yeah. And he goes, I got some graded Funko Pops here. And I'm like, so again, I reiterate, I'm like, sorry, dude, I don't buy. I just come to these shows to sell. Like, I only buy in my store. I'm not here to trade. I can tell you at these small shows, bringing stuff to trade is not frowned upon.
Okay.
I don't do it, but keep in mind, I am a professional dealer. A lot of the small shows, like my own video game show, those are like amateurs and or like side hustler. They're just, a lot of them are just collectors, right? They are more than happy to trade because to them it's a win. They don't really need the sale. They just want, like, they're just trying to sell shit to fund the hobby, right? Mm-hmm. They're just trying to fund their side hustle. So like, if you bring a Chrono Trigger to trade for their Earthbound or whatever the fuck, they're happy to trade with you, right? So at those shows, that's fine. At a big show, it's a fucking joke if you bring shit to trade. And like 0.5% of people bring shit to big shows. That's not the environment to do that.
Right. Not when there's tens of thousands of people that you got to keep an eye on and that are actively trying to buy your product.
Correct. And do you think I'm really going to sit there and take the time and price out your shit and like, no, every minute fucking counts. We're there to make money. We're there to sell shit. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to fucking waste my time looking through your shit and then buy, like, no, not going to happen. I don't even have a fucking computer there to appraise your stuff. What am I going to go with? Your word? I'm going to just guess the prices? Like, no. You want to sell your shit, come into my fucking store and sell it.
Right.
You don't bring your shit to a con to sell. People that bring shit to the show typically are bringing it to have signed. That makes sense. Not to trade or sell. So, no, don't do that. Oh, and then the end of this interaction was the guy kept insisting, and I finally had to get a little stern with him. And I said, look, man, I'm here to make money. This is a job. I'm working right now. I don't have time to price or evaluate your stuff. And he's like, well, you're missing out, man. He's like, because I didn't even want money for this stuff. I just wanted to trade you for some of the stuff you had. And then I was just like, yeah, and that's exactly what I'm telling you I don't do at these shows. Right. I'm not trading. I'm just selling. Right. So, and then he was all bent out of shape. And 4 hours later, he came back and then bought that thing he wanted to trade for.
So,
yeah. Right. So the whole rigmarole at the beginning was just, yeah. That was your question, though, was should you bring shit to sell?
More of just
Or
a general
trade,
interest, so that anyone who
Don't
do
No,
that.
fuck,
This
don't.
is not the avenue for that.
No, God,
method,
no.
right?
No, don't do that. What's your next question?
So you had touched on people are bringing things to these cons to have them signed, right? Obviously, they know the guests that are there. And I've had discussions with you about this. And one of the things that you have gotten better at is knowing who is going to be there so that you can tailor your assortment to sort of help those customers who maybe don't have something, right? Do you have any experiences of guests that were at the shows where you were able to turn that into sales from your booth and sort of make those customers improve their experience?
Yeah. So I'm going to let you in on a dirty little secret. Any of the real professional Comic-Con guys, we are very aware and we do our research. We are very cognizant of who's going to the shows,
right.
And we are bringing merchandise that reflects who's going to the shows. And we are going to bring, I call it signature bait. I'm bringing merchandise to sell that you're going to buy off me to then go get signed. Mm-hmm. And I only recently started doing this. Do you remember me telling you this? Because I didn't used to do it.
It sounds like the kind of thing that you would learn as you go, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, this would make a lot of sense. Probably because you have people coming up to your booth asking, hey, do you have any such and such
Smallville Funko Pops?
Right.
So I didn't, I honestly, I laughed at the idea. When I first started doing Comic-Cons, I saw other vendors' booths and it was like, get me signed. Like, and I laughed. I was like, because as someone that attended cons for years, I'm like, people don't fucking buy something at the show to get signed. They bring stuff to get signed. Why would anyone waste their time? And then I realized the amount of money I was leaving on the table by not bringing shit to the shows. So, no, people are fucking stupid. I should take that back. My customers are great. Other people are fucking stupid. But no, the amount of people that come to these shows with no preparation, they want a signature, but they didn't bring anything to get signed. I would say it's about 50%.
Right.
50% of people that are paying for signature didn't come prepared with something to get signed. So they are looking for signature bait. So now I heavily focus on that. You asked me what kind of prep I do. So to Niagara or London Comic-Con was 2 weeks of prep. 2 of those days, I spent 2 whole days combing through every guest that was going to the event, looking through all of their IMDb history, all their filmography, looking at every role they played, every movie they were in. And then I go, okay, what were their major roles? What are they most known for? And then I kind of got to put myself in the mind of the fan and go, if I was a fan of, let's do an easy one, Lou Ferrigno. What would I want Lou Ferrigno to sign? Obviously Hulk.
Yeah.
Right. But then it gets even more because you go, well, which Hulk? Because there's a ton of Hulk Funko Pops. Mm-hmm. So I give a ton of thought to this and I bring what I feel is the coolest merchandise I have that a fan would want to get signed. And I put a ton of work into this. And that's, we looked at my setup here. I'm just going to go back to this for a second here. So this is my current setup that I use. The table, which is my checkout, is also where I put all the signature bait. Mm. So my table is where I have a separate section of just highlighted shit for people to get signed. And I do very well with it. Yeah, like huge with it. Like Niagara Falls Comic-Con, I almost sold out everything I brought for people to get signed.
For signatures.
Yeah, for signatures.
I can imagine people are going, knowing that they want to have an interaction with this person, but not really thinking about, oh, I need to have something for them to put a signature on. I think maybe, are they expecting that they're just going to have headshots and pass those out for people? Or
I'm going to tell you that. Okay, so when you get a signature, what you're getting, so if you went up to the table and you're like, all right, I paid for a signature, they have 8x10 photos on their little table. Right. Now, most of them, like the good guests, are going to have a really nice variety of photos. So if you just wanted a photo signed, it's not just a generic headshot from fucking 15, 20 years ago when they were super famous. They usually have some really good variety of things that you can get signed. Like, and the guys that, like Bruce Campbell, he'll have a wide variety of photos and options on his table that you can get him to sign. But I do think this is me personally as a fan, I think the coolest shit to get signed is stuff that you plan in advance. And like, cause I get Blu-ray slipcovers signed. I print off my own larger posters to get signed.
Right.
I don't do Funko Pops, but a lot of people do. And I think Funko Pops are one of the coolest things to get signed. It's a real, they display really nicely because it's a good representation of the character, and you get the area you have to work with. You get a good size signature, and it just pops. And there's a reason I think a lot of people now get picked. I think Funko Pops are going to become the go-to thing to get signed at cons.
It's convenient. It's small enough you can put it on a shelf.
They make them for almost every character you can think of.
Right.
And I mean, okay, so as an example, Lou Ferrigno. Sorry, let's go on a side rant about Funko Pops for a second, how great they are for Comic-Cons. No, honestly, they've helped the industry. So celebrities like Lou Ferrigno, they fucking love Funko Pops. Why? Because it gives them something more to sign. And now for Lou Ferrigno, he is a very specific version of the Hulk. So the Funko Pops that people get him to sign are the generic Hulk Funko Pops. The ones that are just a generic comic Hulk,
right.
Those people get him to sign. Not the Mark Ruffalo current rendition of the Hulk, because they make most of the pops are that. Mm-hmm. They're the current Avengers version of Hulk.
Which might be a little bit frustrating for him.
I'm sure he'd still sign it because he just wants your money, right, ultimately. But it is a godsend for guys like that where there may not be a lot of current merchandise for their particular thing, you know? So they love this shit. And especially like I'll name another one who I met at Niagara Falls, Laura Vandervoot, who is, she was Supergirl in the Smallville TV show. I talked to you about this interaction. Yep. And what was cool is so there's a Smallville set, but they didn't actually make one for her character in the show. So what she signs just the generic Supergirl Funko Pops. But she told me she loves that those exist because it gives her something to sign. Right. You know, it gives them that much more variety in what they're signing, you know? So people aren't just getting, you know, basic photos. And
then you're more likely to maybe get that, oh, hey, look at that.
Oh, you get more of a conversation interaction. Right. Yeah, for sure. This podcast is sponsored by the fine folks at Fly By Night Movies, Games, and Toys. Fly By Night Movies, Games, and Toys is your one-stop shop for everything cool and collectible. We are located in the heart of downtown Oshawa. That is Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. If you're looking for movies, video games, and toys, check us out. We are worth the drive. Yeah. I have a question. I want to interject for a second. I did not know that you've never attended Comic-Cons. This is actually mind-blowing to me, and I can't believe we've been talking now for an hour and a half, and I haven't stopped and probed you about this. Why? You're a huge fucking nerd. Why the hell haven't you been going to these shows for years?
That's a great question. I don't really know. I mean, I think I probably... It would make sense that I have been to these. I think part of it is that there's so many people.
You don't like the giant crowds?
That's part of it. I think also for the things that I collect, I don't necessarily I don't feel like I need to go to an event like that to find it.
Well, you collect high-end comics. They would have these at these events.
Yeah,
but possibly. You also like statues and shit. And I mean, so I'm going to try to sell you on why you should be going to Comic-Cons. Because if you go to slow period, the crowds aren't a thing. I can tell you which times to go.
Right.
If it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go on the Friday, unless the guests that you want to meet aren't going to be there. But then always go on the Sunday. Never go on the Saturday. Never, folks. Never go on the Saturday to a Comic-Con. It will be fucking jammed. You're going to be tripping over people. Right. Always go on the Sunday or the Friday, unless there's no guests on the Friday, because sometimes those guests are only Saturday, Sunday. Right. Go on the Sunday. Do not go in the morning. Do not go around lunch. Go in the afternoon. It always quiets down in the afternoon. The first two waves of rushes, there's always the initial rush when the doors open, then there's the lunch rush, and then sometimes you get an early afternoon rush, but there's never an evening rush. So I recommend going in the afternoon on the slowest day. The crowds won't even be a thing, and you're basically going to have your free reign of the whole show floor.
Yeah, I need to get out to one, just at least to see the experience. Part of it, too, is, I'm not going to bring my wife. I don't think she would enjoy standing in an experience like that. She's open to a lot, but that might be sort of pushing it.
She's probably going to hurt your fun of it, your enjoyment of it, because you're going to feel obligated to entertain her.
Right.
So no, don't bring her. You bring Justin.
So the next thing I was going to say, there's one person that I know who would be good for this. He's attending these events on the other side. So he's not a guest, or he's not coming into it. He's working it.
I'm working it. Yeah. That being said, you always have an open invitation anytime you want to come with me. You know I get extra passes and shit for these events. If you don't think I use those passes and give them to people, I use those passes, right? So, if you ever want to go to one of these shows with me, you absolutely have an open invitation.
No, I definitely should.
You would enjoy it because they're giant markets, dude. And okay, to sell you on it a little bit more, like, even the one and dones, like even small shows, like my video game show, you know what makes them special? You get to shop rather than shop in one geek store, you get to shop in like 50 geek stores, the equivalent of like 50 nerd stores in like one fucking day.
Right.
You're not driving all over the fucking province, wasting your time, wasting your gas, the logistics of that. You get to go to one convenient location where all the best stores brought all their best shit, and it's all conveniently displayed there for you, buddy.
Oh, that could be dangerous.
No, I mean but that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So I can't believe that. Forget the celebrities for a second. The market is awesome, dude. You would love it. They're giant geek markets. I can't believe you haven't already gone to these shows.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, because I know you said like, well, the stuff you collect, like high end comics, you're not going to find. Don't say that. You don't know that for a fact. Kevin, like our mutual friend Kevin. Right. He is also a high-end comic collector. He's found some key issues at these comics. When the first year he went to Niagara Falls Comic Con with me, he got like first appearance of Scorpion from Spider-Man. I think it was first appearance of Killmonger in Black Panther. Like he got key issues, Like comic collectors bring their just like I bring my high-end top-tier Funko Pops.
Right.
You don't think these guys bring their shit? They're looking for fucking whales like you.
Maybe that's why I haven't been to one of these shows.
Yeah, but they're looking for it.
But,
I think you would also really like the fan interactions.
Yeah.
Like I think you would get a kick out of meeting someone like Katie Sackhoff, Starbuck from Battlestar, or if Edward James Olmos.
That's correct. Not James Edward Olmos,
which is what I always call him. Yeah, James Edward Olmos. If James Edward Olmos was at the show, I think it would be cool if you got to meet him. That's me. I like paying. I don't mind paying for the fan interactions.
Right.
Now this is a debate. Have you heard this debate about whether it's right for them to be charging for the signatures?
I haven't, but I can imagine some people would.
Okay, so we were talking about Comic-Cons, right? So like in the early inception, at the early inception of Comic-Cons, they were just comic events. Then they became pop culture events. When they started doing pop culture events, the way they used to do it was the celebrities just got appearance fees. They never used to sign for signatures. Mm-hmm. You got that shit for free. And the thing is, pop culture collectibles wasn't the market it is now. So you didn't have jackasses that would go there with 100 things for Robert Englund to sign and then throw them all up on eBay. People didn't really abuse it. They were okay with it. They were better fan interactions. And while that's all nice and, we all like to have nostalgic rose-colored glasses and go, oh, it's better then. I think the realism, the realistic person inside me goes, no, you needed to start charging money because these events got bigger and the cost of everything grew and the expectations that these people had grew as well. And you needed to start getting them bigger paydays to get bigger celebrities. So they need a bigger payday. And on top of that, if all the signatures were free, logistically it would be a fucking nightmare. You got to have some paywall because you can't have guys just abusing it, bringing up, even if you were like limit of one signature per person. Oh, don't you think that guy's going to get every fucking member of his family now to go in line just to get a sign? Like, you know what I mean? Have you ever done like a book signing before and seen those fucking lines?
Yeah. Like the moment that the courtesy becomes untenable, right? People took advantage of it and now it's, no, I agree with you.
People took advantage of it and it got too big.
Yeah.
But I still talk to people, like I talk to fans that have been going to cons for like 15 years and they're like, Robert Englund never used to charge $80 for a signature. I remember I walked up and got a chat with him for half an hour. It's like, yeah, that was all well and good, but that was the beginning. And times change, things evolve. And unfortunately, there needs to be a paywall. It's just the reality of the fucking thing. Right. You got your signature for free, count yourself as lucky. Rather than bitch it at promoters now for needing to run shows the way they need to run, you know, like, just back the fuck off. Another thing is like, okay, now I'll play devil's. Now I'm going to go the opposite for a second. I do think some of these people, though, charge way too much.
What is that for someone like myself who's never been? What would I expect to pay?
Okay, so a voice actor, let's start at the bottom. So the bottom, I'm using that in quotation marks. Mm-hmm. The bottom guests are generally voice actors because these aren't as well known. They're not going to have as much draw. So the voice actors are typically anywhere from like $40 to $60 a signature, depending on how big they are. Kevin Conroy was $60, which for me, I thought was actually, he might have even been $50 now that I think about it. He was like low end,
right?
Which was very reasonable considering how big he actually is. But you know, if you were to get like Dan Castanella, the voice of Homer Simpson, he would probably be like $100 or something because he's a huge draw.
Yeah.
It also depends on the event. This is where it gets tricky. So low end is like 40 to 60. Most guests are typically 60 to 80. That's pretty typical. The top guests can get anywhere from 80 to, I've even seen 200, 250.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So if like I wanted like an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, Schwarzenegger. So yeah, okay. So there's some people that probably will never appear at one of these shows. So like there is a ceiling. So depending on the event, you're going to get different guests, right? Because they can only afford certain guests. So like, let's use London Comic Con. London Comic Con, most of the guests were voice actors. They were more the lower end. They like Lou Ferrigno. He's more like he's not a C tier. He's more like a B tier, but he's certainly not an A tier. An A tier is more like your Bruce Campbells, your Ron Perlmans, your Michael J. Foxes, your Mark Hamills. Mm-hmm. These are guys you can bill and advertise the show around. You know, you can literally build your advertising around just like Peter Weller. Even Peter Weller's maybe more of like a B tier now because he hasn't done anything in years. But like Jason Momoa, he was at Fan Expo one year. These are the A tier guys. Right. But you're only going to see the A tier guys at the biggest events. Generally, the smaller Comic-Cons, they tend to go for more the C. Well, I'll even go D. They go like D to B tier guys. And they might have like one A-lister that's kind of their anchor, you know? But there's a ceiling to that. There's some people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he probably will never do a con because it's not really worth his time.
Even for that kind of money, it's still not.
Well, he doesn't need the money.
Yeah.
You know, so like it gets to a certain point, it's like they don't need the fucking money. They either just want to do it or, you know, they got talked into it, you know, and there's levels to that. But some of them, okay, so let's get into the pricing again. Depending on the show, you're going to pay more for the signature or pay less. So this is a dirty little secret for you guys out there. The smaller the show, the cheaper the signature. So as an example, Bruce Campbell, when he was at Fan Expo, I got 2 of his signatures. I got him to sign 2 different things.
Right.
His signature was $80. I thought it was reasonable. When he was at Niagara Falls Comic Con, only a couple years later, he was charging $60. Difference in price. So if you get the celebrity you want at a smaller show, you're gonna pay less money. Yeah, because they gear the signature. How they determine the price of the signatures is a whole fascinating discussion. That's a whole like art unto itself. And I know a little bit about that because I'm friends with actual promoters, and they've told me about how like it actually works. But there's a whole science to it. But basically, bigger event, bigger costs. So
right.
bigger appearance fee, bigger payday, bigger expectations. They
that
charge more.
Makes sense.
They charge more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I don't know if I could see myself paying that kind of money for something like that. But you're right. It's
once in a lifetime.
Right.
You know, so to make to tell you a funny anecdote here for a second, a running joke that Kevin and I have is one of the first years Kevin and I went to Fan Expo. Leonard Nimoy was there. Leonard. So Kevin goes, I made a comment because I think Leonard Nimoy was like $150 for a signature, and I was like, 150 for Leonard Nimoy. I'm like, I mean, it's a lot of money for, a squiggle of marker on a fucking thing. At the time, I thought that was a bit much, and Kevin's like, well, like he's old, man. He might die. Like this might be your last chance to ever fucking see him again. Yeah, he died like a couple months after that. Yeah.
Did you get his signature?
No, I didn't go for his signature. He wasn't on my radar, but Kevin made that comment, and that's become a running joke because now every time he's like, oh, you may never get another chance. He might die. And I think Kevin has killed to date like 3 people that he said that about. I tell no word of a lie. He killed Leonard Nimoy. He killed Carrie Fisher. She died like not long after she was at fucking Fan Expo. And Stan Lee, that was the other one. He killed Stan Lee because Stan Lee was a very expensive signature, and Stan Lee died like not long after he was at Fan Expo. Thankfully, he did not kill Michael J. Fox, but I did pay for Michael J. Fox, so I got his signature. But
no, that is true, and I was going to comment on that. I have a few comics that are signed by Stan Lee, and at the time, I remember when I got them, I didn't have them signed myself. They were signed when I obtained them, and I remember thinking, like, does this matter to me? Does it matter enough for me to want this, right? Stanley signs a lot of things, right? It's not an uncommon signature. But then obviously when he did pass away, there's that realization that whatever's out there, that's it.
That's it.
Right? Yep. It's never going to, that group of items is never going to increase now, right? So if you had it, even a remote interest, it's gone. You're going to have to get something that already had it. And I know that, you've got a section of your movies upstairs that we look at where you keep a lot of your signed items. I can get that Friday the 13th box set. It's a nice box set, right? But there's nothing about it that is special other than the fact that you have yours signed.
Right.
And that's what makes yours particularly interesting, right? That's something that anyone else can obtain. Not that one, though. That one is unique and one of a kind. So you're, as much as I say, yeah, I would not spend that kind of money, I'm talking myself into...
You probably would. Right. And I'll tell you right now, really what I'm paying for is the interaction.
Yeah.
So like I've got Frightmare in the Falls coming up at the end of October. Keith David is going to that show. Keith David from the masterpiece The Thing, one of our, I think, mutual favorite films of all time. He's also the voice of Spawn in the animated series. He's actually the voice of he's got like a very famous voice. So he's one of the ones I'm going to be paying to get his signature.
What's he going to sign?
I'm going to get him to sign something Spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about getting him to sign The Thing. Here's the problem. Kurt Russell's never going to do one of these shows, most likely. So if I can't get both of them, I don't really just want Keith David on The Thing.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Spawn.
That's a good call.
Because I love Spawn, the animated series, one of my favorite animated series of all time. It's fucking awesome. To me, he's Spawn. He's the voice of Spawn. So,
plus, I would imagine, do these actors, celebrities, do they react better when you get them to sign something that isn't the thing that they are known for?
Very good question. And the answer is yes. So let's use Bruce Campbell as an example, because this happened with me. So Bruce Campbell, what are 99% of people going to get him to sign?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, yeah. It's Ash. It's all Ash Williams. It's Evil Dead, Evil Dead, Evil Dead. Or Army of Darkness, same fucking thing. I got him to sign an Evil Dead thing, but I also got him to sign my Burn Notice box set.
Oh, tremendous.
Which I'm a fan of the underappreciated TV show Burn Notice.
Fantastic show if you haven't watched it. Burn Notice.
Fantastic show. Right. And he was one of the main characters, and he's in, I think, almost every episode, the entire run. Right? When I brought that, when I handed him the Burn Notice set, he was like, oh, that's great. And then he actually chatted with me about Burn Notice for a bit. So yeah, they appreciate it when you get them to sign things that they're not most commonly known for.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that must be I don't want to say painful part of this experience for them, but oftentimes you would imagine a lot of these, celebrities are going to be remembered for one thing, but in their career, that was just one job of many, hopefully, that they had. And to not have the opportunity to talk or be recognized for the balance of the work they've done, as opposed to just, oh yeah, you were this guy once in a movie 20 years ago. and nobody cares about anything else that you did.
You're the T1000, Robert Patrick. You never did anything else.
Right. So if you bring them something that isn't T1000, I can imagine that would
sometimes
go a long way for them.
I find they appreciate it, you know. For sure. Yeah. Yep. So like, I don't know. I probably have some examples of that, but yeah, absolutely. If you try to get them, you know, I mean, but the thing is like, where it becomes a problem is like, you don't often want them to sign the other shit. So like, you know, like I don't give a fuck about what, is it Tombstone that Michael Biehn is Johnny Ringo in? You know, Tombstone? Is that the one that Kurt Russell? That's the one they're all in it, right? That's the one with Val Kilmer?
Right.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one where Val Kilmer's, fucking, what's the character's name? Oh, I should know this.
Billy the Kid?
No, he's not Billy the Kid. No, he's...
We're going to sound like terrible nerds. Doc Holliday?
Doc Holliday, thank you. He's Doc Holliday, yeah. And Michael Biehn was Johnny Ringo in that. I don't give a fuck about Tombstone. I don't care if he was Johnny Ringo. He's great in it, but he's signing fucking Aliens or he's signing Terminator. Right. You know? So
that's why I would think a guy like Jeffrey Combs would be awesome.
Because he's kind of a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I could imagine someone going up to him just as often for like Reanimator as they would for one of his Star Trek appearances.
Or From Beyond.
Sure, right.
You
like
know?
just done so many cool, random, nerdy things that for him it would just be, you'd never know what was going to walk up. So.
I think it's probably most fun for the voice actors. If they've had a long career and done a ton of voices, they sign all kinds of different shit. I think I would think that they would be a good example of ones that I think they're guests that probably get some of the most fun interaction, you know, with what they're signing. Yeah. Do you have more questions for me?
I think you covered it.
Well, we've covered the entirety of what the Comic-Con experience is.
So I was just gonna. The final question is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think someone would want to know about?
That's like important to know about cons. So like, well, what have we gone through? We've gone through like, you know, what the levels of shows are. What my setup is, what you can expect to go, like what you can expect the experience to be like as an attendee. I guess, I don't know. Is there any more like nitty gritty questions you want to ask me about the business and that, like about like the pressure of selling at these shows and I don't know, maybe competing with other dealers and things like that. I mean, there's a lot more to get into. In terms of like the logistics of these shows.
Right.
Like I've got tons of stories of like dealers trying to fuck me over and.
Oh, really?
Oh, it can be cutthroat. I mean, we're all there to make fucking money.
Do you find you're selling the same products that they are?
So that's where it gets interesting. Yeah. So generic Comic-Con means anything goes for pop culture. So the guy beside me could be selling comics, which I don't sell. He could be selling Pokemon cards, which I don't sell. He could be selling Funko Pops. So he is my direct competitor.
Do they consider that when they're planning out who goes where?
Some of them do.
Yeah.
I've had shows where I was fucking a couple booths down from a guy selling Funko Pops. I've had shows where I was directly across from another major dealer selling Funko Pops. The good promoters tend to split you guys up.
Right.
So you don't just have, this is the Funko Pop alley and this is Comic Lane. And no, they typically will spread you out in the hall. So it's like, you know, each aisle might have a representative of a very specific type of collectible. Mm-hmm. But where it gets hard to do that is like, I don't just sell Funko Pops. I also sell anime figures. Some shows I sell Anime North. I sell also video games. So it's like, I'm selling 3 different categories. How the fuck are they not going to put me next to someone that's probably has some overlap? You know, it's going to happen. Right. So it can be very cutthroat at these shows, and it can be very stressful when you start looking at your neighbors and seeing what the other guy's selling and seeing what he has for less money than you and you have for less money than him and vice versa. And
how do you respond to that? Like, you can't hit the reset button on that event. You're there, you're in the moment.
So I typically, like, I consider myself that as a fair dealer. I consider that I price everything at fair market value. I don't really inflate the price on anything. I try not to mark anything up that's unreasonable. So I think my prices are already very fair. So I typically don't get very insecure about that. but I know a lot of dealers do, and what they will do is it's usually signature bait this comes up, but so let's say literally Niagara Falls, I can use this as an example. So I had is it Gennesio Esposito? Who's the guy that the guy that plays Gus Fring?
Giancarlo?
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah. So Gus Fring, also Moff Gideon, he was there, and
nice.
Beginning of the show, all the Funko guys, not including myself, because I don't do this shit, but a lot of the other Funko dealers were walking around seeing how much everybody was putting on their Gus Fring Funko Pops.
Right.
And then they adjusted their prices accordingly. And where this gets really cunty is sometimes what guys will do, and this actually happened to me, is they'll go around and they will buy up all of the Funko Pops for that specific guest so that they now have the monopoly and they're the only ones that have it in the hall, and then they can price it whatever they want. And a guy was doing that with Gus Fring, and he bought both my Gus Fring Funko Pops and then took them back to his booth and marked them up.
Doubled it up and
or whatever. Yeah. Put them inflated them to some bullshit unfair price. Yeah. So
hey, you got the sale.
See me, I don't care. I got his money. I don't give a shit. But you're fucking over the attendee because now you're gonna, they have that much less option to get it for a fair price, right? But a lot of guys will walk around. I walk around and I snoop out the competition generally around my direct area because I kind of just want to see what everybody's bringing to the table. But I try not to let it get to me. Sometimes it's harder to do that than others. But I don't really adjust my prices. I kind of just want to see what everybody has, and I kind of gauge. Okay, I'm the only guy in the room that brought a lot of this, so it gives me an idea of that because I'm feeling out the competition. I want to know what you brought and what versus what I brought.
Right.
I want you because now all of our cards are on the table, and we have as dealers we get in there hours before the general attendees would get in. So we have the ultimate VIP passes to these conventions, and I get to shop the show floor with no attendees. Like I can literally just walk around the first an hour before the show when all the vendors are at their booths just finessing. It's the greatest time because I get to shop. Because you were saying I have to work these events. That's true, but I also still get to attend these events.
Enjoy them. Probably a better experience than the rest of us.
Way better because you get a Comic-Con to yourself.
Right.
I always say being a dealer is the ultimate VIP ticket to any of these events.
Right.
Honestly, it really is because you're in hours before everybody. You get to walk the show floor with nobody around. You get to literally watch the guests' lines and wait for the most opportune time to go, and then get to walk up to them when there's no one in line and get to talk to them longer. It's great, you know. But what I'm doing during that time when I'm walking around is I'm snooping around. I want to see what other people brought to the show. Yeah. I want to know what I'm higher than other people on, and just so I have that in the back of my mind. What I know that I brought that I didn't really see anybody else had, so I use that information. It's a game. You're using this. You're using the data to help you sell better that day, right? But a lot of guys will go around and this is a very cunty practice. They'll go around and they'll just look at everybody's prices and then try to undercut you on everything.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and those are those cutthroat fuckers, and they're the worst guys to deal with because they encourage attendees to try to beat you up on your prices.
Right.
And I hate that kind of practice. I think it's a bullshit practice where everybody tries to beat you up on everything. And I think if you're priced fair, you should just stick to your fucking price. I try not to cut any extra discounts or deals. Which every dealer is going to have a different perspective on that. But those fucking guys, because they're going around going well, I've got it cheaper than that guy over there. I'm the cheapest one here now. Don't buy it from him. He's overpriced. They're encouraging that kind of environment.
When you put a bunch of like-minded or similar vendors together, it's going to create a buyer's market, which is, the idea behind these shows and conventions, but it obviously does not, work well for the people behind the counter trying to sell the merchandise.
Yeah, right? and definitely you can get into your neighbors can be assholes.
Right.
It's very luck of the draw. You don't know. you don't know where you're going to end up. You can request to be in specific spots. Like once you get to know a venue, you get to know a promoter. Once you have a little bit of clout. So like certain shows, I request now where I am in the hall, and generally they'll accommodate me for that. But not always. And sometimes you end up in, you end up in a spot in the hall that may not be as good. Generally, you want to be as close to the main entrance as possible. There's very strategic. I have different strategies on different shows, so I'm not going to get into that of where the optimum place to be is. But sometimes you're just in places that don't have as good of traffic flow, and or you get really unlucky with who your neighbors are. You just have fucking asshole neighbors. And I've had that problem many times with bad neighbors at the shows. My ideal neighbors is ones that are not selling anything that competes with me and are friendly, and those are the best guys to deal with because you get to chat with them. There's no weird tension between you two because you're not competing at all. You're
spending like 2.5 days pretty much in a tin can.
Yeah, and
these folks.
You're both going through the same shit and the same experiences. So you really get to relate to each other, and they understand the biz, and sometimes those are great conversations.
So you're a dealer. You're in early. You get.
I'm a dealer.
You're a dealer. You're in early. You get access. To the cons.
Oh, I made you think of another question.
Yeah.
Because I started getting to logistics, right? Because I was realized you didn't really ask me a lot of the nitty gritty shit. I was wondering if you were going to.
I don't know the questions to ask.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Why not? Why don't you
know what you don't know?
Why don't you know the insides and outs of this industry you're not in?
You don't work in.
Right.
So obviously, you see everything come and go. You've got a store where you sell. You go to numerous shows and cons, but you did mention that you are a customer. You are an attendee like everyone else as well. What is the thing that you have found in all of the shows that they're like, wow, I got to have that? Have you ever come away with, if you take your business hat off and put your attendee hat back on for a second, anything that you can say was like impressive? Something that blew your mind. You're like, wow, I can't believe I found this. I have to have this.
This is going to be a really lame answer. I'm really good about not spending money at these shows. I try not to buy much at these shows. I'm there to make money, so I try not to spend the money before I've made the money.
Right.
I can't think of anything in particular that I've found, but I've scored some really good deals over the years buying shit, before the doors even opened. The dirty little secret about shows that no one is going to want to hear, but all dealers, we all kind of know this. As an attendee, it doesn't matter how early you get to the show or how much you pay for your VIP pass and you skip the lines. Every booth has already been looked at by other dealers.
Right.
And if you don't think dealers bring their friends to these shows as helpers, you are gravely mistaken.
Right.
So a lot of the best deals have already been taken advantage of before the doors even opened.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. Like there's a saying like all the best deals happen before the doors open. There's some truth to that. It's not to say you're not going to find anything. I'm just telling you that if you... This is going to make me sound awful right now, but if I walk around and I'm snooping around and I don't buy things, like I don't do what that guy with the Gus Fring things did where he's trying to buy them all up so he can dictate the market and for the show that weekend. I don't do that shit. But if I walk around and you, Mark Skews, you are clearly much more amateur and clearly more new to the profession, and maybe you're not as up to date on accurate pricing in that. And I see you've got a Funko Pop that's worth $50 for 15. I am absolutely going to buy that off of you and sell it for what it should be selling for. And I do that all the time. Like every good dealer does that. We buy off each other where we catch each other. The term that gets thrown around a lot is you catch them slipping. We catch each other slipping all the time. It happens, Now, if you know the other dealer, the common courtesy thing to do is just be like, hey man, just so you know, that one, you can mark that one up. And If it's a dealer I know, I'm going to tell them. If it's a dealer I don't fucking know, no, I'm not going to fucking say anything. We're just going to, that's it. That's part of the game.
Last episode, we used Chrono Trigger as our example. If somebody's got Chrono Trigger for $50.
Right. You don't think I'm going to go over there and just buy it?
He's not going to have that Chrono Trigger for very long.
I've seen all kinds of, this happens all the time. Yeah. I have seen the worst example of this. There was a young guy. This was at a video game show. He was clearly selling, like, I think he was just trying to sell off a portion of his collection. But he had no fucking idea what anything was worth.
Right.
And all he had was mostly Nintendo shit, which is the best shit. It's the gold when it comes to video games. It holds the most value. It's the shit everybody wants, too. And most of what he had was, like, Super Nintendo, N64, Game Boy. It was all criminally underpriced. And before the fucking doors even opened, he had sold most of his table because the other dealers just gobbled up all of his shit.
Right.
Like, he was selling games that were worth like 30 for like $10. You know, like the amount of money that we would buy it for, like less than what we would buy it for in our stores, this guy was selling it for. And he had his table almost empty before the doors even opened. And then the doors opened and the guy had like 10 games left on his table. You know? I
mean, I guess on the one hand,
hey, he won.
He was happy.
Right. He was in cloud nine, but it's just a funny anecdote of like, the piranhas just devoured that man, that kid's fucking stock.
But I mean, in the collecting industry, that's what everyone's looking for, right? They all want to find the one person who has something that they don't have the time to put in the effort to figure out what it's worth. They just want to get rid of it. You know, the classic story in comics is the guy that passes away and his wife just wants, I'll pay you to get rid of all this stuff, right? You know, there are a number of big comic book stores in the US that were built on obtaining collections like that, right? So, you know, it's not that that's the white whale that everyone's trying to find. And sometimes you can find it, right?
Right.
You know.
I hope this doesn't paint me as a monster for admitting that we buy up shit before you guys even get to come in the doors, but just so you know, it doesn't mean you're gonna find. It doesn't mean you're losing out on all. You know, like you can still find good deals and shit.
No,
like that.
I think
you can still find cool shit.
What you're saying is you can still get whatever you want. You just can't expect to pay a fraction of what it's worth.
Right. Especially at a fucking Comic-Con, because you're talking the top dealers in the fucking province or state or wherever the fuck you are. Like you're talking the top dealers. We don't slip much.
Right.
And if one of us is slipping, the other ones are going to catch it immediately. So like it's more at the smaller shows. I almost said lower tier. It's not. That's not the right word. The small shows, you're going to find it more of that because you got amateurs. And you also got people that just don't give a fuck. Right. And that's another reason why a lot of dealers don't like doing smaller shows. Like bigger dealers, because like, you know, let's talk about like, the amount of effort it takes to build a setup like this and to bring a setup like that. You're talking logistics of having to rent a truck, to load big ass racks and move all this shit. The amount of time and energy it takes, A, that's not really worth our time for the return we're going to get. But B, sometimes the shows are awful for us because you get a bunch of amateurs in there. They don't have a business. They don't have our overhead. They don't have fucking employees. They don't have to make the profit that we have to make. So they're just undercutting the shit out of us, you know?
They're not necessarily doing it intentionally. They're just clearing out.
They're just clearing out their personal shit. Yeah. But that often kills us, and that's another reason why a lot of big dealers are turned off by small shows, because they don't want to be they don't want to be around a bunch of small fish that are going to undercut them all day unintentionally.
Right.
You know, it makes them look bad, even though they're not doing anything wrong. They're just selling it for the actual like retail market prices they have to sell it for to survive.
Right.
So
where are you off to next?
Next show is actually my show.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we got a small show next.
Tell us more.
It's the Oshawa video game show. No one that listens to this podcast is from this area. I'm sure you're probably all from the United States or the UK, so you will not be making the trek out. But next show is my show, which is a small video game show. I do 66-ish tables, like 60-plus tables of just video games. And that's just video games. There's not really any toys or anything. And you'll probably be at that event.
I will not be. I
What?
will actually be in the U.S. myself.
Are you actually out of the area that weekend?
Yeah, we're away that weekend.
Fuck. All right. Well, you're banned from all future events. Remember I made you that invitation earlier in the show?
Correct.
I'm rescinding
Rescinded.
that. Yeah, I was rescinded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will continue to not go to cons now, I guess.
Well, that's not even a con. That's just a small show. Yeah. And then after that, I'm at Niagara Falls. So Frightmare in the Falls, which is the biggest horror show in Canada. So
that's end of October.
End of October. And then that's it. Basically, con season's over. So unless somebody, I would consider doing a show in November. I've done shows in November to differing degrees of success, but I would not consider December to February show. Not going to happen.
Right.
There are some people try to do events in that.
Right.
I don't do it. I've tried it. I have tried a winter show. I've had disasters. I had a show once where a fucking blizzard started in the middle of the show. And I told you about this. It was a fucking nightmare. I come out and there was a foot of snow on the ground and on the truck. And what should have taken me an hour to pack up ended up taking me like 3.5 hours to get home.
Right.
It was a fucking nightmare. I'll never do that again. Not happening. So I don't do winter shows. Nor should you. Promoters, don't do winter shows. They're stupid.
Nobody wants to go to them.
Yeah, no, honestly, nobody wants to do that shit. I feel like, so we're at the 2-hour mark here. We've talked a lot, but I feel like I still haven't quite given you enough about what is in a con. And that is not to criticize the questions that you gave me. I think they were very good questions. But I feel like for a future episode, I definitely have more to give. So I just want to let you know that there's a lot more to get into, you know. Well, because there's like, we didn't talk about like, the actual logistics. What is it like booking an event?
Right.
What is like truck rental? What is that like? Loading. What's that like? Unloading. What's that like? Pack up. What's that like? Like, what is it like before the show opens? What is it like after the show ends? What do you do in between the show days? Like, what do you do? Because, these are multi-day events, right? What do you think happens Saturday when the show ends between that period and Sunday when the show opens?
Right.
You got to do something. I don't pack it all up and then
You're not coming home necessarily, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. So there's a lot more to talk about here. So I encourage you to definitely bring this up again for a future topic, So
this was our spring con season show. We'll do the fall con season.
Right.
The
yeah. Well, actually, no, this is fall because we're already in the fall. Yeah. we are well past the spring shows. Right. Yeah. Because London Comic Con, that's a fall show. Right. Yeah. Because we're in the fall now. See, there's a time period where there's the spring and there's a time period where it's the fall. We're in that second period right now. So any shows in this period are considered a fall show.
See, I was just trying to allude to the fact that there are 2 seasons and then, this part 1, part 2. But yes, correct. Apparently this became a discussion of Justin teaching me about weather and
the seasons. Yeah, and seasons. I feel like I didn't get to ask you much about cons, though, because I didn't realize you didn't do them.
No, that
so was fucking weird. Like, it still blows my mind. So so you already said you didn't do any bigger shows. Have you ever done any of the smaller shows? And my shows don't count. I'm talking about like you never went to comic swaps or any of that shit?
No, only because I don't know a lot of people that, being a nerd has only kind of become popular over the last few years. Big Bang Theory has allowed everyone to kind of get in on this. But before that, unless you, knew a group of people that you could do this with, and I didn't really know anyone other than yourself, but you and I would not have been friends at the time when I would have been attending those types of things. Right now, anyone can go. They've become a lot more sort of accepting of all different types of people. You got your cosplay people who feel very comfortable, and there's another episode.
There's another thing we can talk about, the cosplay, because I mean that's a whole fucking that's a whole thing. Yeah.
So I think I just I kind of came into it late, right? Or maybe I was young at a time when it wasn't as big as it is now. Yeah. And now that it's exploded.
These are major events.
Right. I think if I were, 26 going, and I was looking for something like that to do, it would definitely have made more sense.
You think literally it's just your age?
Maybe.
Yeah. You just didn't, when they got big, you were just a little bit out of that age where your priorities were different.
Right.
You were actually trying to like buy a house,
pay my mortgage.
Right. Yeah. You got married.
Right.
Yeah. So you had more like adult priorities compared to going to cons. You didn't really have the disposable income at hand.
It opened up after it was something.
Yeah.
That
you missed that window, and that's sad. Honestly, that's sad. So I'm gonna do my best to try to bring you into it now, because I will say without a doubt, the best part of my job is doing these shows.
Yeah.
Well, the most let's not say best part. The most enjoyable part of my job is doing these shows.
Right.
And I do like my job. I like owning a collectibles store. Notice I use the word like, folks, not love. It's not the same thing. I like having a collectible store. I like working in the collectible store, interacting with the people I get in the store. The cons for me are like, it's almost like it condenses down, it distills all the best parts of owning a collectible store into a short period of time.
Really? See, I would have thought it would be the opposite.
No, it's like doing a line of cocaine. It just keeps just
all that experience you have.
Right. Yeah. But that's that's what I imagine it's doing. That's what I imagine it's like anyways. It's just, there's so much energy in those weekends. So it's like the busiest your store is going to be, it's 10 times that in half the period, So it's like, there's so much energy and adrenaline. You get interacting with so many people. It's very engaging, and I love it. But I mean, I talk to other dealers and they fucking hate it. And they begrudgingly do it because they need the sales. So, but I like it because I'm a wheeler dealer at heart, and that's me at my core. So it's me in my natural environment, which is wheeling and dealing, talking with people, schmoozing and meeting new people. And I'm a talker, and I like interacting with all these other fucking nerds like myself, and it's great. So I love doing the shows. I find them super fucking enjoyable.
And that's true, because the thing that I've always said to you that excites me the most about your business is the opportunity to, you never know what's going to walk in the door in your store, right? And so for someone like myself who doesn't actually have to do the job that you have and make a living out of it and pay the expenses, I can dream about the excitement of, is today the day that somebody brings in some Generation 1 Transformers mint in box, like that kind of thing, right? Whereas for you, you can't look at it the way that I do. That's product coming in. It's not your childhood walking in, right? So the ability to go to these cons and, like you say, condense the experience into the core thing that you are trying to accomplish, right, would make the most sense from your perspective. But obviously from my dreamer perspective of not having to do this as a business, that feels like it would cut out the best part, which is just seeing the cool stuff.
The store.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
I get it. Yeah. So again, though, I'm a natural wheeler dealer. So maybe I just love that market experience, like the high stakes, intense boiler room of doing a Comic-Con. And it's like a 3-day like power fest of sales. And I don't know. I love doing the fucking cons. They're great. Yeah, you get to meet cool people. The cosplay is great. The environment's great. That being said, they're not all equal. And some shows I like better than others.
Yeah.
And I think we'll leave it there, because I think we'll have a little bit of discussion in the future about that, because not all promoters are equal. They are anything but.
Right.
And not all venues are equal, and not all cities are equal. That's my tease.
We will be back.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll do that in the next episode though. Maybe we'll just come up with some other topic. But do you you like because we were talking about the format of the show? Do you is there anything you wanted to tweak, or you like this? You still down with this format?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't get to ask you enough. Should I be bringing questions?
Well, I think part of it is that, again, I'm the one coming in with the wide eyes.
That's true.
You are the one with the knowledge of this.
I'm
right?
just so fucking sick of hearing myself talk. That's
I know.
That's really what it is. It's my voice is, top 5 annoying voices on the internet. It's up there.
It's Justin.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think every episode will be like this.
Yeah.
But this one was always going to be more of the, I don't know. You have extensive experience. I'm going to be asking you the questions.
Yeah,
right?
I dig. Okay, then I'll say this for the tens of people that are listening right now, all 10 of you. We will definitely make an effort to have some episodes where we have generic topics that we're both just going to riff on.
Right.
Let's not make every episode a just questionnaire for me.
I couldn't help but interview you this time.
No, and I'm fine with these episodes because you know me, I'll fucking talk all night.
Right.
But I don't want to bore everybody, and I don't want people to get sick of listening to me go on and on and on about just whatever, you know. I think people are going to want some back and forth here and there. So I think every once in a while we should splice in some hot button topic episodes, you know, or maybe we do a reverse one and I throw questions at you. But yeah, I think we'll try to mix it up. We'll try to mix it up because that sounds like, because we talked about this off camera. We kind of had this idea of like making sure it didn't become too stale or
right.
You know, and I made it very clear I didn't want this to be the fly by night podcast. Which, by the way, this podcast is sponsored. No, that ad read has already been inserted somewhere in the middle of this this video / audio. Yeah, just so you know, to give you some feedback, the show of my whole network, the large two-name media network,
the entertainment
conglomerate, the titan that is two-name media. Actually, right now, I think the first episode we did had some of the most views.
Really?
Yeah. So I think
I would have thought the movie one would, just because, you know.
Yeah, I don't know that it has the most, but like, because I'm also counting the second episodes of those other ones as well, because we've right now on my channel I've got 3 podcasts going. There's Recently Watched, which is me and Kevin, where we just riff about movies and TV shows we watched. There's Anime, which is me and John, where we talk about anime specifically. And then there's this show which we're talking about the industry of collectibles in general. Right. But yeah, surprisingly, it got a decent, you know, I mean, for my channel. So we're talking like...
Why are you listening to us?
Right. What is it you think we have for you? When you hear tales from the toy store, these are not horror stories that happen to take place in toy stores. And that might be what people are thinking.
It could be.
Right. Yeah.
Leave your comments below if that's what you'd like to see.
And she brought the Beanie Baby home and it was filled with cockroaches instead of beads. Yeah, like that kind of shit. We can maybe, you know, I'm open to horror stories. Just just completely sell out and we do the thing that other people want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want you to know I'm open to that. If it gets us from 100 views to 200, I'm willing to do it.
We will sell our souls.
We will
for
sell
100
out.
more views.
Yeah. What if, because like obviously this podcast and this whole channel is, well, not the whole channel, but this podcast is brought to you, like, is sponsored by my business.
Correct.
My business is paying for this.
Right.
Like that's where all this
That's where all this came
all
from.
of this, all of this high production value you see here, this comes from Fly By Night, my store. Wouldn't it be hilarious if another store bought this podcast and it was then sponsored by somebody else, you know? Like one of maybe not even one of my rivals, but just like, I don't know, like what if GameStop bought this and then we had corporate overlords and they dictated the content? That would be awesome.
Just to go on record, we would love to have corporate overlords. If there are any corporate overlords.
That are willing to pay us to talk. We will talk about whatever. Yeah.
We will hoor ourselves.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah. The top 10 experiences in a GameStop.
With that voice too.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Dude, do you remember when GameStop was electronics boutique?
Oh my.
Do you remember that?
Every mall had one.
Yeah. And there's still, what's amazing to me is, you know, through all the revisions, all the shit, pandemic, recession, depression, everything, GameStop is still maintaining its high level of customer service, care, and quality products. That sounded like a fucking ad read, didn't it? Yeah. To be clear, there are no ad reads other than the ads I give myself to read about my own store.
Right.
But until somebody else, some brave other company is willing, it has the courage to give us money
Right.
Well, me. I don't know if I'm going to cut you in, but to give
Right.
me money
Right.
to read for their particular product and or brand and or business, you're only going to hear ads from Fly By Night.
So if you don't want to hear ads for Fly By Night, get on the phone.
Yeah, that would be a good. That would be a perfect way to shut me up about talking about Fly By Night. Is just sponsor the show.
Right. I hope it's some, rando company.
Irrelevant.
Right.
Something.
Not
The Fleshlight. The Fleshlight is no,
fundies or something.
an underwear company is now the official sponsor of Tales from the Toy. It's not even toy related. Right. It's not even pop culture related. Yeah.
Cash converters. Get your payday loans.
Spend
them, Matt.
McDonald Insurance.
Right.
The name you've trusted for over 100 years.
McDougal Medical Supplies.
Yeah, medical supplies.
For the best syringes and gauze pads.
Right. Yeah. Construction Co.
Right.
The reliable name in contractor services.
You want your foundation built right.
Yeah. Foundation services. Yeah, even more specific. Yeah. Basement foundation repairs. Yeah. And leaks.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just why can't we have that? Why can't we just get weird?
Why can't we have nice things?
I'm open to, I will read, and I will, and I'm genuine about this. I will read the most bizarre ad reads that the internet is willing to throw at me. If you pay me money, I will say it to a point.
And I will applaud. I will.
Yeah, you will also
I will
shill
cheerlead.
it. You will shill it. You will help shill whatever we're gonna. I'm not okay. I should say, I'll do whatever ad reads. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to endorse anything.
Right.
I'm just saying I'll read the copy that you give me.
Right.
I'm a professional. You pay me. You got my time. Just like I paid those celebrities for their time at the cons.
Right.
I am a actual professional. I'll read the copy. As it's written to a point,
right,
within reason. But I'm not necessarily saying I'll endorse it. That's a separate tier of money that you have to pay for. Then you have my official endorsement. Right. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for listening and or watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, for some reason you want to see our ugly faces. And tune in next time where we will talk about something else. Another tale from the toy store, even though none of these are actual tales from the toy store. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.